Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a video on my Doctor Who comic book collection, which I'm assuming I haven't done one of these in quite a while. Of this recording, it is the 30th of December 2019. By the time this gets uploaded, it'll definitely be 2020 already, which is just bonkers. As well, bit of a disclaimer, or just heads up. The reason why my voice might sound different is because I've just had to move and carry and pick up a big stack of comics and whatnot, and get some other bits and pieces out of boxes. So that was quite tiring. But then also my throat is sore and not particularly great, so I shouldn't really be filming right now. But I am anyway, so the things I do for this channel. But yeah. Also, if you're wondering why there might be some issues that I used to have but I don't seem to be in this video, it'll be because quite some time ago, a YouTuber by the name of Ace Creeper had a PO box, and I sent him some stuff. Some of the stuff included, but was not limited to, some Doctor Who Titan comics, so that's why they're not here anymore. I mean, I've read them, I've reviewed them on the channel. They were just ones that I just thought, you know what, I don't particularly want anymore, and seeing as he had a PO box and I was sending him stuff anyway, it just made sense. So, but yeah, it's in Doctor order, or at least it should be anyway, in Doctor order of comics that I've got here anyway. The first one being the Doctor Who, the 13th Doctor Holiday Special Issue 1, which of this recording I should have already got a individual review of this issue on the channel, so if you want to know more about what I think of this issue, please do feel free to watch that. So yeah, I'll probably title this my Doctor Who collection update video January 2020. Or maybe even February 2020. It's just, ideally I'd like to post this before my Big Finish audio collection video, which I was planning on doing in February anyway, for next year, whereas this year I did my Big Finish audio collection in January. But yeah, The Four Doctors Part 5, The Four Doctors Part 4, The Four Doctors Part 3, The Four Doctors Part 2, and The Four Doctors Part 1, which I quite like that they've kind of got the War Doctor there, but he's not actually there. And also, I quite like the fact that, if not my first Comic-Con, it might have been my second, I can't remember. I think it might have been my first Comic-Con that I went to, that I got this limited edition variant cover of The Four Doctors, limited to 1,000 copies from Showmasters Film and Comic-Con Sheffield. Although I am very annoyed that wherever I was keeping it for the longest time wasn't a particularly great place, so parts of the comic art is actually quite damaged, which is very irritating to say the least. So I do have the same comic twice, but as I say, this is a special variant cover sort of thing, so that's really cool, really awesome thing to have in the collection, as it were. Then we move on to the 10th Doctor sort of stuff. If I'm not well, it's one of the few multi-Doctor stories that's in the comics. There's a few, but it's the only one that I've got from beginning to end, so, but yeah. 10th Doctor issue 9, and if I'm not mistaken, it's the end of the Weeping Angel arc. Issue 8, issue 7, and then issue 6, which, can I just say, this cover is just, astonishing. And also the idea of the Weeping Angels in World War I is just phenomenal. Whoever thought of that needs a raise, basically. But yeah, just that cover, and also the fact that, it's such a juxtaposition having the 10th Doctor wear shades, being all, cool, whilst there's, a giant angel, which kind of looks like a weeping angel, and then these like the soldiers that are in grey kind of makes me think of like the soldiers, kind of like the Roman soldiers in Pandorica Opens, but then also Big Bang when they're like turned to stone, and that's awesome. Spitfires, just generally love this cover really. Probably what caught my attention of this, and then I read it and then was like, oh my god, it's Weeping Angels, what the fuck. Issue 5, I don't remember anything of issue 5 of the 10th Doctor one, I'm not going to lie. And also, that's as far as my 10th Doctor ones go. I did have quite a few more, I think, but again, I may have given them to Ace Creeper, so... Then moving on to 9th Doctor stuff, which I have a lot of, because I'm a big fan of the 9th Doctor. And, yeah, quite like this picture, or this cover even, of him sat on the chair. I quite like this one just because it's got the Empty Child and the Slitheen on it, which just brings me nostalgia, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not too keen on this one, on this cover, just kind of looks kind of bland, doesn't it really? I'm not that inspired. Issue 12, issue 11, Sonic kind of looks really weird there. Issue 10, another not so interesting cover, at least in my opinion anyway. Issue 9, I quite like the cover of this one because it's like obviously the 9th Doctor's face, but then the TARDIS is fading into it and the way they've blended it together, and Rose is there and just looks cool really. If you're kind of annoyed that I'm not going over the specific comics individually in more depth about the artwork or the stories, it's mainly because I haven't read any of these probably since I've reviewed them, as depressing and annoying as that sounds. Yeah. But I don't have all the time in the world, or at least I don't feel like I do anyway. Yeah, issue 8. Issue 7, which I really like. It's very minimalist, is that the right word? Very simplistic, but very effective, basically. Like him walking on this like alien planet with lots of water, and then this shadow monster thing. And then you have a jumper twee on the back. Issue 6. I like this cover, even though I probably shouldn't, but I do. Issue 5, meh, I'm not too fussed about the cover. Issue 4, really like that cover of him standing on the TARDIS and this planet exploding. Kind of reminds me of Listen, to be honest. Issue 3, I quite like... it's weird, it's like, I was about to say, I quite like Jack, the Doctor and Rose being there on the front cover all together, but... What is weird is that Captain Jack doesn't look like Captain Jack, but he also has a revolver, which I don't even remember him ever using or seeing in the series, really, in my head. Then there's Rose, which, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then there's the 9th Doctor, but he looks like he's from the comics, whereas she looks really photorealistic, like she's from the main series. Captain Jack doesn't look like Captain Jack, and then, as I say, he looks like he's just from the comics, which is just weird. Issue 2 of the 9th Doctor ones, and issue 1 of the 9th ongoing adventures with the 9th Doctor, because clearly the 5-part miniseries with the 9th Doctor was popular enough that they continued on with the 9th Doctor. The 5-part miniseries being, well, you guessed it, 5 parts, was really good from what I remember. Kind of had imagery of the Time War and some other interesting bits and pieces, so it's probably better if I just flick through these quickly. This one, issue 5, issue 4. I've reviewed all these on the channel, by the way, if you want more of an in-depth sort of pros and cons of said issues, if any pique your interest. Issue 3, issue 2, which I really like the cover of because it kind of reminds me of the Nana Jeans from Empty Child Doctor Dances, which, as you can imagine, is very high up on my favourite list of Doctor Who episodes. Well, it's the episode that got me into the show, so I have a lot of nostalgia and a lot of respect for Moffat doing that episode. And then I love this oil pastel sort of look because it comes back in some of the issues last time I checked. Now we finally move on to the mini-series of the 8th Doctor comics by Titan Comics. And it's really interesting that he has Dark Eyes Sonic Screwdriver, which I really like. And from what I remember, I really like the companion in this, but I can't remember her name but she was really cool. That's issue 5 of that. Issue 4, which kind of reminds me of like a Poison Ivy type cover from like DC or something. Issue 3, which the cover kind of reminds me of what the bad guy is in this one. It's pretty decent from what I remember. Issue 2, now what I remember the most from issue 2 is the fact that okay. Well, I was going to say from issue 2, what I remember the most is the fact that his scarf's like purple, but then I was going to say it's purple there as well, but also that the Sonic Screwdriver isn't like coloured in for whatever reason. Now, I don't know if that's because my one's a specific variant one, or what, or if it's a mistake, or if they meant to do that, if it's the same in everyone's issue of issue 2 of the 8th Doctor miniseries, because there's that's what it's meant to look like, coloured, but then in issue 2, the cover, it looks not coloured, which is weird. Not coloured in. But then also what's even weirder is then you go to the 8th Doctor issue 1 with the pastel sort of awesome painting pastel sort of colour of this one, but then you've got the Night of the Doctor Sonic Screwdriver. Go figure. Like, what? How does this work? What is this madness? But then you got the Dark Eyes one there. Okay. And that, but yeah, at least the costumes one continuity thing they have in continuity of in the 5 issues. But yeah. My God, I need to move this pile. This pile is getting unwieldy, is what it is. The 7th Doctor series, which kind of feels like it only came out yesterday, but it didn't, which is just weird. I really did enjoy it, I think, from what I remember of it, and to the point where I do always keep thinking I'll do a overview of this series, of the 7th Doctor ones. And I love this cover because it's just got like this rogues gallery of all the baddies from his era, which I'd named them all, but I'm not that. I do like the 7th Doctor, but I'm not that sort of obsessed with it, I guess, and that. But yeah, you've got season 26 sort of costume and Ace there, and you've got the Cheetah People, the Destroyer, Cybermen, and some characters from Fenric and that weird fucking clown from Greatest Show in the Galaxy. That's as far as my thing goes. I think that dragon's from... I'm gonna go on, I guess, and say Dragonfire, but I don't know the name of. But yeah, really cool little 3-part series of comics, which is a bit weird to say because I would have always thought it was going to be 5 parts like the 9th and the 8th and some other earlier even Doctors comic series would be, but I love this cover because it kind of really reminds me of the promotional imagery of wow, that was badly placed thumb position. Really reminds me of the Series 10 promotional stuff of like Bill falling from the TARDIS, or the TARDIS skimming those volcano-y type things. And also maybe even the 50th anniversary as well, and him holding on with the question mark umbrella and the hat falling, and again you've still got that season 26 scarf, costume even, and yeah, just really cool. Again, you go back to that sort of oil pastel sort of thing, although what does kind of annoy me is the fact that this one has the season 25 costume and not the season 26 one. Maybe it was a variant cover, or maybe the variant cover is that it's the you get the brown coat one and that. Also, this is particular point of interest is that it's a lot thicker than some of the other comics in the Titan Comics like that's the normal thickness, and then you get issue 1 of the 7th Doctor one, and it's like, ooh, this is a thick boy. Very thick boy, that one. Another point of interest is that this is the only IDW Doctor Who comic that I've got, and oddly enough, from memory, is the earliest memory of getting any Doctor Who comic, which is really weird, because every other one since then has been Titan Comics. But yeah, the art style is really different, to say the least, and then you've got, you know, the character, the Dalek Slayer dude, I can't remember his name, but like he gets picked up in the Titan Comics, so it's kind of ironic that. But yeah, I think that's why I've always kept this, because even though it doesn't really sort of fit into the collection as such, it's still a novel thing to have. It's like if I ever got a Marvel Doctor Who comic, because Marvel were the original people who actually owned the license to Doctor Who, if you can believe it. Then it was IDW, and now it's obviously Titan Comics. The 4th Doctor 5-part miniseries, I remember really enjoying that. The sort of story and that. I kind of like the fact that he's got a deer stalker. That's pretty cool. Kind of very reminiscent of Talons of Wang Chiang. And from what I remember, the cover's reminding me of the baddie, and the baddie was pretty cool. And yeah, I don't want to ruin anything either in this video for anyone who hasn't picked up any of these. I'm not a massive fan of this cover. It kind of looks kind of weird, but it's just me, I guess. So, issue 3. Kind of weird seeing him without a big coat and a scarf and hat. I think the 4th Doctor. You know, issue 2. And then issue 1. With this very, again, oil pastel-esque design, which I just adore. And I adore this cover as well, because Tom just looks gorgeous, really. He's a very gorgeous man. Issue 5 of the 4th Doctor series, which I do really remember liking. Paul Cornell really understands the 3rd Doctor era and the 3rd Doctor as a character, so I really like this cover as well. Very sort of makes me think of the 1970s. So yeah, and I love John Pertwee's costume and Katie Manning and the Brigadier and that era. Although I might not like the fact that a lot of the stories are 6-part stories, and I like watching Doctor Who episodes in one sitting, even if they are 6-part stories. So obviously with his era, I need a full day to watch a 6-part story. Issue 3. Lots of weird Gallifreyan text, which kind of reminds me of the Mr. Strange stuff from... Oh, Doctor Strange stuff from Marvel. Issue 5, issue 3. I've got those in the wrong order. And then issue 4, sorry. It's okay as a cover. Issue 3. And then issue 2, which I quite like. Yeah, I love the fact that like parts of both their costumes kind of turning into the stars, and then the stars kind of turn into the wall of the TARDIS there, which is pretty cool. Oh. Yeah, issue 1. Then you've got the Lost Dimensions sort of thing, which I have no idea how to follow this. So sorry if anyone wants to get into the Lost Dimensions. I'm probably the last person you should ask. Most recent Free Comic Book Day back in 2019. And 2018 one, 2017, 2016, and then presumably 2015. Now, that's not everything. I've got some kind of unique, special, sort of honourable mentions, I guess, which include, but are not limited to, the fanfiction illustrated thing that I have reviewed this on the channel. Whoa, okay. Two of the stories, if I'm not mistaken, are by Andrew Cartmel, script editor from the classic series Back with Sylvester McCoy. But then the one that really piqued my interest was Body of the Sidemen by Matthew Toffolo. Not to say that the other two were horrible or bad or anything. They were just two different stories, you know. Really cool. I hope there's a second volume. I wish I could be in the second volume, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, really cool. I definitely knew that I wanted to buy it. But as I say, if you want more of an in-depth my thoughts, more of an in-depth idea of what my thoughts are on this, please do check out my review. Likewise with this, which is the a Doctor Who book, what's it, The Many Lives of the Doctor, which was like one of the earliest things I got with Jodie on the front of it, if not the first thing that I got with the 13th Doctor in terms of merchandise, as it were. I love the cover. It was $6.99, but it's because, you know, it's got a story from each of the Doctors, including the War Doctor. You know, I'm not a massive fan of how the Fourth Doctor's drawn, particularly, but even so, it is just really cool to have more adventures with the Eighth Doctor, or Seven, or whoever your Doctor is, your favourite Doctor is. There's a story, obviously, with said Doctor, you know, from first to, you know, which is saying something, because Titan Comics have never done a first or second Doctor story, so, you know, whereas here there is one, The Path of Skulls, I think it's called, and then, you know, there's one with the Third Doctor, one with the War Doctor somewhere, you know, and as I say, the cover alone is very eye-catching, so. Then I've got this Doctor Who, my only Doctor Who, graphic novel that I've got, which I didn't actually get. My friend Michael ages ago, either for Christmas or my birthday, or one of the two, gave me this, which, so yeah, thank you to him, because that's awesome. I haven't read it, unfortunately. I really do want to read it one day. I might read it this year, who knows, and then review it on the channel. I just remember him getting some of the 12th Doctor comics from Titan Comics and really enjoying them, to the point where I think he wanted me to read them, but I never did. So then he just got probably tired of recommending and suggesting and talking about it to me, that he was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'll buy this. You read it, do it now. And I didn't, unfortunately, but I will do one day. And then lastly, I've got the Doctor Who comic strip graphic novel of The Cruel Sea, which is all of the Ninth Doctor comic strips put into one book. So you've got, what stories have you got in here, which I haven't read, but I really do want to, again, one day, and then review it on the channel. I'll check what you've got. Love Invasion, Art Attack, Cruel Sea, Mr. Nobody, A Growth Wart of Wit, What I Did on My Summer Holidays by Sally Sparrow, which is the thing that inspired Moffat to do Blink. And then there's a bunch of also behind the scenes stuff and sketches and artwork, and yeah, it's just awesome. Again, another must-have sort of thing if you're a big fan of Series 1 and that, and I am, because that series sort of got me into the show. But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of like everything, I guess, this monstrosity of a pile of comics and whatnot. But yeah, yeah, if you're into the comics, please do let me know in the comment section if you're any bit into the comics, if you've got any recommendations, suggestions of what I should buy, recommendations for other people, what you like about the comic series, what you don't like, what you expect and want from the comic series with Titan Comics, with the 13th Doctor moving forward in 2020. That being said, I've just remembered I do have, ideally I should be buying the second half and or second issue even to the holiday special 13th Doctor one, so hopefully come 2020, if and when I buy that, I should have a review of the issue 2 for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, thanks for watching, comment, rate and subscribe.